Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. And today is a wonderful Thursday, 22nd of July, 2021. And we are streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to Africa and the entire world. If you're just joining us, welcome once again. Please do let us know your name, where you're streaming from, and of course, where you're connecting from. And then we'll be happy to celebrate you. If it's your first time on the show, please do let us know so we can ring the bell to you today. And we are always excited on the show to welcome guests, friends, analysts, tribe members on the show. And it's going to be a great time today. We have a fantastic conversation today, and I know you don't want to miss it. I'm not going to expect you to miss it. Tell someone to tell someone the Good Morning Education Show is on right now. Spread the word, spread the message. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Without wasting much time, I'm going to just run you through what to expect today. On the Good Morning Education Show, we always run through the headlines and then we'll go to the conversation of the day. But before the conversation of the day, we sometimes try to share with you opportunities, what we call the grant for the day. And that also makes the show a complete cocktail so that you all can learn with us, share with us as we grow together. Welcome once again to the Good Morning Education Show. And I have on us Michael Idibie, from Dubai. Welcome. Hello, blessing to Michael. Thank you for joining. And I would like to bring up the follow do things, chopping knuckles, as if she wants to go on the boxing match or wrestling fight. And everybody says, get ready to rumble, drum roll. Grrr. Welcome, Fee Follow this morning. Fee Follow has eaten too much ram. She's watched ram fight. And then it goes, and tag team goes, and it goes into the mouth, and it goes, yeah. How are you today?
I see. I see some commentary, maybe happening very soon. Probably we'll have a Good Morning Education Show league, and we'll have you run the commentary. That went really smoothly, without rehearsal. So yeah. Good morning. Good morning to the Good Morning Education tribe. Good morning, Michael. And
Are you there? Hello?
can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, I don't know what happened earlier. So I was just saying good morning to everybody and greeting Michael especially, and every other person who is joining us but haven't told us where they're joining this morning.
Fantastic. And like I said on the show, we always spend time to talk about news within and around the world of education. And today is not going to be an exception. We're going to be having some interesting headlines, right? Interesting headlines. So we're going to start with the first headline. And I think universities are topping the rank nowadays, right? So we have why Nigerian universities can't attract foreign students, lecturers. This is by ASU president.
Okay, so the first issue I have with this headline, I hope it's one of those things that just happen with headlines, that it's not what the ASU president said. Why Nigerian universities cannot cannot is absolute, is final, is saying this will not happen. And that's not true. Nigerian universities have attracted foreign lecturers and students, are still attracting foreign lecturers and students. At least I know that there are still foreign lecturers and students in some Nigerian universities, federal universities, but federal universities, yes. And then the second question I would pose generally is, how many Nigerians are Nigerian universities attracting? to beyond the rhetorics, beyond what's the fight all the time. We keep hearing it's this, the laboratories are not good today, the lecturers are underfunded tomorrow. Beyond all of that, what is ASU as a body putting into the different institutions where they exist? What are they saying that this is our contribution to making the institutions and the places where we work better? What's their stake apart from salaries, apart from lecturing and then conducting exams and grading? What else are they putting into it to make these institutions also attractive for themselves first, for Nigerians first, before we start talking about foreign students? But I don't think it's a fair conclusion to say that Nigerian universities cannot attract foreign students. That conclusion is very false, and it's also quite defeatist, because once you say it can't, then what's the point in trying to make it better or to make our institutions better anyway? So really, if this is not just the headline, and they had an interview with him, he spoke about many things. Hammering and picking on this in particular is probably a little taking away from the entire body of the news and what the ASU president had to say. But then I would say we have the capacity to attract foreign students and lecturers, and when we're ready to put in the work, we will begin to see the results.
Well, it is comment. Is it your comment? Is it your cant? Is his own cant?
Okay, now it's a scam though. It's not my cant. Eventually, it
Well,
turns to our cant.
well, I understand what you're trying to say, and I believe that he says something that needs to being ASU president is something that we should not ignore. However inaccurate the sentence structure is, but it's a reality, and we need to begin to talk about this thing so that we can actually change such realities, right? Although he said why, but then I understand what you're trying to say. So let's move
Oh,
to the
well,
next
the things
headline.
he listed, okay, the
Stake,
things he
stake,
listed were the
stake.
same things we've heard before now. Infrastructure,
Okay.
no equipment, all of that.
Stakeholders discuss relevance, continuity of post UTME.
That news item, going through it, some of the reasons they gave. Okay, the first example was a student who performed excellently at WAEC. Her WAEC results were excellent. Her JAMB results was 283 or thereabouts, and then she was invited for post UTME. And if it's a question they said was simple, she bungled it. Know that at the beginning, why instituted was for things like that. People score very high marks at the exams, and then they get into year one and they're flunking all the exams. They're finding it difficult to, and you're wondering, for people who scored this high at the at UTME, at WAEC or NECO, whichever other exams they took, why are they finding it very difficult to function? The first year in the university is almost like a revision of your last year in the secondary school and adding a little bit more to it. And that's why the post-UTME exams, why post-UTME was instituted, to ensure that the results matches what the person is offering, or what the student is bringing in. So saying that, oh, it's a way to extort students, it's some students while traveling to write the exams. Some of them are involved in accidents. That's not the fault of post UTME. That's what the government should do. Ensure that the roads are safe, that the roads are good and motorable. Anybody could be going from anywhere to a destination and have an accident. So for these discussions, to if those are the basis for measuring the relevance of post UTME, then there are no basis at all. If you're saying things like, oh, the exam has not adequately shown that it's not proving the reason it was instituted. It's been a waste of time. It's not a true measure of the level that the candidates are. Then we can take a look at it again. But wanting to remove it because, oh, you feel that it's extra money for candidates to pay, or because they feel, oh, the students are afraid that that's why they're, no, the candidates cannot be afraid of the people examining them and then just flunk everything like that. I think the stakeholders need to go over the exam again, look over the policies and what constitutes the um, of the post UTME, and then they can match results to purpose and say, okay, if these two are not, if the purpose is not what we're getting in the results, then yeah, we probably need to restructure, or if it now has to get out, they'll be presenting something much more concrete and something much more solid than, oh, it's just extortion, the roads are not safe, security issues, all of that.
Well, in some cases, you hear people say it is what it is. You know, it is what it is, right? Um, let's move to the next headline. Before then, let's just say good morning to Olu Bukola Tunde Oshoride. Thank you for joining us. Um, Another headline says federal government turning varsities into constituency project, says ASU president.
It looks like they're out for the ASU president this morning. Maybe it's a long story broken into different headlines, but really, I tend to align a little with the ASU president in this, considering the number of universities, colleges of education, or technical colleges that we have heard in the news recently that planning to kick off, to build, and all of that. It looks like it's those institutions are now used to appease people, also appease individuals or appease group of people. That's what it's beginning to look like. Because if all that money is there to build new universities, then why are the existing ones suffering? Why are they in the state of rundown that they are in presently? So yes, I tend to agree with him. Right? It's looking like, well, you people want to be known as, oh, in your village there's this university in my village, and so if you search for it on the map you would find my village because there's a university there. And after that, the running, the uh, setting up, and nobody cares about it. As long as you already have what you wanted, that's your problem, deal with it. That's so I kind of agree with him, and I'm hoping that things can get better. So even if we want to have new universities coming up, new universities which we need anyway, it means that those currently on ground are running well. They're being well funded. The lecturers are not running away and exporting. We're not exporting lecturers and students, and that we can now bring in new ones and keep them running. I mean, it's like a family that already has children they can't take care of, and they're giving back to more.
All right. Well, politics is really a big business, as some would say. So let's see how it goes. Teaching abroad, first state-backed Chinese school opens in Dubai.
Okay. Okay, I'm trying to get the first part of the headline, but I think I get the last part of it. State-backed Chinese school open. Okay. Run away from the interaction between cultures, the bringing together of different cultures, nationalities, and the immersion that we need village. So yes, it's I as the city is opening up. We know that it wasn't like this open to having, because of the way they preserve their culture, the way they preserve their religion and preserve their policies. But opening up, having this being a state-backed Chinese institution, I think they're opening up to more possibilities and exposing their children to endless possibilities. China is fast becoming the economic juggernaut of the country, and I think I see that as a strategic move by the government to have that, and have their children also immersed in the culture, being play on that level also.
Thank you. Let's get to the next one. Alibaba pushes largest ever recruitment program for new graduates. For new graduates, Alibaba's latest recruitment drive opens up new positions in the company and at its major units like Ant Group, Kenya, and Alibaba Health.
This is good news. This is what the when people look at the unemployment index and they're able to not just talk about it, not just make noise about it and say, oh, the government is not this, the government is not that, but they can contribute ending or to mitigating that issue or to reduce, it is a good one. And for Alibaba to really open up new positions, because saying that it opened up new positions means they probably needed to create some positions that were not existing, all to be able to take in and accommodate more people, more graduates, many more graduates, and there are jobs out there. And it's not a Nigerian thing, it's not an African thing. It is a problem the world over. It's a great initiative by Alibaba, and I'm hoping that in this part of the world we can see things like this and ask ourselves, how do we replicate this?
Fantastic. That's good. We have some news from Japan, and Japan is trying to reopen its doors to international students.
This is also good. I my comment with the Chinese backed with the states backed Chinese schools in Dubai applies to this also. It's any opportunity or any opening for interrelationship between countries, between cultures, between peoples is a good one.
Okay. I think on that note, we should be able to say that's all from the headlines. Are there anything that you want to add? Is there any news you have on your sleeve?
Okay, so this morning I don't have sleeves. I'll keep the
I'm not
news.
talking about your literal dressing. No.
I'll keep but right now, no, I think the news that I will be putting out there on behalf of the Spelling Bee Committee is that the 12th edition of the National Spelling Bee is coming up, and registration has opened already. So for people, for schools, for parents who are interested and should be interested in having your child compete on a national stage, in fact, beyond the national stage, on an international stage, with other children. This has a lot of advantages for the children. It boosts their self-esteem, it boosts their confidence, it helps them to also learn as they study the words. They're learning new words, they're learning new meanings, they're learning pronunciations, they're learning new things really. So you should not sleep on this. Get the children registered. Registration is on already and closes September 30th. So you have from now till then to get those children in, get them to prove and help them to feel good about themselves, help them to begin to build the skills. And I'm sure the registration link will be in our comments. You can click on that, get your children registered, get your school registered, send the news to your children's school, tell your neighbor to tell your neighbor, tell your friends and tell your enemies they need to be there to register their kids.
Thank you very much. We're going to move forward on our conversation for today. We have a very nice topic, and we're talking about vocational skills. Let's talk vocational skills. A lot of people out there. So, okay, it's a good morning to get an education. Thank you, Al Scott. Thank you. So let's talk vocational skills. Vocational skills seems to be one of the key things that most people hardly have a good comprehension on. So I'm going to ask you, P, for the benefit of the audience out there, what really do we mean when we talk about vocation skills or vocational skills?
The true definition of vocational skills beyond what we make it out to be. We generally see vocational skills as that dropouts do, something that never do wells into. It's not seen as positive. It's not seen as something where you find noble people. But vocational skills, really, or vocational education towards the skills is a training, specified, and streamlined training towards taking up skilled employment in a profession or in a craft. And I think someone mentioned yesterday, I can't remember who, either yesterday or the day before, talking about how hugely paid uh, these professionals, this what we would call or what we call artisans, people that are skilled workers, what they earn outside the country. You have to think properly before you call for a plumber to work in your house. You have to consider, why do we have so many Nigerian mothers or Nigerian women travel out of the country and they have to learn how to make hair. They have to learn how to do some little sewing because these things don't come cheap when you're out of the country. But over here, we take it like, oh, if a child says, "Daddy, good morning. I'm not going to school today. I want to go and learn carpentry." They're going to take that child to the church and begin and put him under deliverance mode. Like, oh, the village people have finally reached us through this boy. But that really is not what it is. Getting an education and still having vocational skills, they're not at variance, rather they are complementary. And the moment we begin, or the earlier we began to understand that skilled work, skilled professionals are not any less than maybe career professionals, educated people, as we see it, the earlier we began to see that, better it will be for us. So instead of forcing and maybe taking away, some children are very good at construction, and maybe what they want to do, it may not really be maybe construction of buildings or all of that. They could be construction designers, and then you have them do these things, and they charge one client, and what they charge one client, their mate who is in an office every day does not get paid that in 3 months, what they get at just one job. So we need to shift our focus and our thinking from saying vocational skills or seeing vocational practice as something meant for the bottom of the ladder people in the society, or for the non, oh, if you have tried school and it doesn't work, then they will say, go and learn work, go and learn something. It shouldn't be that. It should really be infused into the classroom education that we get in formal education. That's my thought.
Thank you very much. While you were speaking, we have Ugochi joined us. Ugochi, good morning. Welcome to the show. How are you today? Okay, while we're waiting for Ugochi to respond, I think that another way to look at it is when we speak about vocational skills, it's actually talking about skilled craft, skilled craft. And I need people to understand that skilled craft can actually emanate from formal learning or education and or informal education. In fact, when you look at it in another perspective, skilled craft actually is the mother of all industries, where you now begin to have formal education for the transference of the skill. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So if you look at the vocational skills, is actually the bedrock of all industries. And people must begin to understand that, because industries, name the industries we have today. Industries actually are two components: the business side of the trade of the skill, and also the learning or the value chain side of it. You understand? And most of those things actually are captured in professions, because the skill is so refined that the professions is almost like the place or segment or the sector or fragment that makes people schooled in that area. And that's why you always hear people say, I'm a professional. I am a professional. I am a professional. Although we always liken and attach being a professional as class, or sometimes some people look at it as dexterity of skill. But the truth of the matter is, being a professional does not necessarily mean that, the way we say, Finn is a professional driver. Some people are saying that with the context of Finn can drive very well. No, you are skilled at driving. But for you to be a professional driver, it means you are paid for the work or the business of driving. It means you earn from driving. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Or it means that you belong to an association of people who drive. That's why you are in the profession. You are a professional colleague, for example. Do you understand? And then your referenced identity is in driving. So when you say profession, professional, the individual referenced in line with that trade. And so that's why I really like the way you opened it up, that there should be no form of schism of any kind where somebody begins to say that vocation is stepped down. In fact, some people look at it as if it's the non-branded side of education or the less branded side of education. That's actually is not fair to even have that kind of identity. Vocation is vocation. If you even look at it, the value it brings to the world or the value it brings to the user is not any less. Are you getting my point? So, and also, which also tells us that we have a lot of work to do. And I'm going to ask Safety Chick this question. We have a lot of work to do, because also we tend to see that people always address sectors, industries, businesses with the eye of the surface mind. So we say, for example, it's wrong though, but we say, for example, vocational skills. And the next thing people keep on telling you, ask anybody. Most times you hear this frequent answer when you talk about vocational skills. You know what people say? Carpentry. And then people say welding, plumbing. Sometimes people go to use the word vulganizers. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And because of the reference point, or is it vulcanizer? Because of the reference point, see, let me tell you the truth. Let me tell you the truth. That what you see in the open is not necessarily what is available in the depth. Being a vulcanizer or vulcanizer, whichever one you like, Korea forecast, anybody wants, whichever one you like, it is just telling you that it is a trade that with skilled craft, with the degree of skillfulness, you can trade off. People can park on the road and get their tire fixed. People can drive into a store and get their car fixed. We have lube bays in petrol stations. We have those lube bays. We have all those things. What is the difference between the pump, the air pump? It's just because some people have not gone beyond a measure, and we should not look down at them. If they had capital, if they had coaching, if they had direction, if they had clarity, that guy on the road, you'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. He will move from pumping tire on the roadside. He will start selling do-it-yourself inflators. Do you know how many cars are in Lagos State, for example? Do you know how many cars are in Nigeria? And I can tell you, average cars don't have their inflators themselves. They don't. They don't have those things. Do you understand? And it's a big, big, big thing. But you see, the very first way to appreciate it is actually to begin to understand that vocation and vocational skills is what we mean by skilled craft. Now, to safety check, coming to this question, right? And I know that Ugochi would kill this one. I know that. A lot of people run from vocational skills just because of what has been branded or open perception. Why do you think that, in fact, not why do you think, how should people's disposition be? Because vocation should actually be something of interest rather than something of placement. I don't know if you're able to get that question, because if you hear people say they are passionate about things, the truth of it is that they should have vocational skills, because vocation really talks about devotion and interest. If there's any area of skill that services passion, it is vocation. So please, could you answer that, safety chief? Is safety chief there? Safety chief, I think your audio is not clear. Safety chief, are you there? Safety chief, are you there? Titi, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Fee. Good morning, Safety Chick. Good morning, Rotimi.
Good morning.
Titi, have you been listening to our conversation?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
We were talking about vocational skills. Vocational skills, right? And I think that vocational can be a very good accelerator to economic empowerment of Nigerians. What's your take on that?
I completely agree. I completely agree because the real life wire of an economy are small businesses. So most people that when they think of university, they think of how to get into jobs, and those jobs are actually few compared to the number of people that are coming out with university degrees. So in the end, it's all the small businesses. and a lot of the small businesses have to do with vocational skills. But I think what's more important with the vocational skill is raising the standard of the vocational skills. You know, people were talking recently about the Igbo apprenticeship model. I know that something that's been even studied in Harvard. So it's really vocational skills in so many things. It can be in construction, the various other non-engineering or architectural parts of the construction. It could be in hairdressing. It could be in cooking. Honestly, it could be so many things. They are the live wire of an economy, and we need to promote it. We need to stop looking down at it. We need the children too to stop looking down at it. I remember I sit on an NGO that works in the with vulnerable children, and a lot of them, their parents are artisans, but they look down on them. They feel, oh, I want a better life than this vocational skill, so they look down on it. They feel that they want to they want to be better than them. So being better doesn't necessarily mean not being vocational skills. And I've given this example before of people that I know that their children were more educated than them, that took their parents' vocational that small business to a higher level based on the better education that they had. So I think for me, vocational studies are what we need to really push. And I think we should start pushing them from the primary school level. Let's show children there's a pride in this. You can't take this part and still be smiling to the bank. You can't be you can't be known for plumbing, but you're at the top of your trade. I've said it so many times that when it comes to things like that, if I know businesses, I know people that move to their homes and they just keep spending money on that plumbing because they didn't get the right kind of artisan to do it. I look at other countries, other developed countries where the people that are in this trade are very wealthy people, the mechanics, the plumbers, in the UK and the US, they're not Namina you, their per hour rate is a very decent sum. They are living very comfortable lives, even better than those that have what we call the white collar jobs. So we need to promote vocational skills from an early age, encourage people rather than sit down, wait 2-3 years to find a job. If you've already been trained in one vocational skill or the other, then once you come out of school, you can't find something, you start something or go and join someone and even see how to even take it to the next level.
Thank you very much. And really, because there's something that I'm going to ask both yourself and Fee. But let me just put a picture to it. I think that there's a disservice that the world is also doing when we come into the place of common education or formal education. There's this equilibrium that everybody's trying to push for. And indirectly, some of the things that, like our own ingenuity, some of the things that would naturally be some pride to us and leverage to us that the world would need to learn, it's just totally getting to disappear, because everybody's saying, let me give you an example. It's a sensitive thing, but I hope people understand. I know you guys will understand me. I hope people understand what I'm trying to say. Let me give you an example. So we know that everybody says that children should go to school, children should not hawk, and street trading is bad, and then we paint it with a very gory look, that yes, street trading is bad, hawking is bad, and all those things. While there are extremes to these things, there are times that if you look at it to the African state, to the African culture, and just like you also alluded to, there are things that same thing that you said, I know people who they hawked, granite, they hawked garden egg, they hawked or they traded vegetables and sold plantain. That is what led to them taking themselves or funding themselves to school. Are you getting me? Hello?
Yes, we are listening. We are listening.
Yes. So how can we How can we create this common divide, or not divide, right? How can we create a balance against the world's equilibrium? Because everybody wants to say, okay, SMEs are the future. SMEs is the life wire of every community. But why would our SME or micro scale, which is MSME, why must it look like that of France? Why must it look like that of New York? Because our culture and our level of development and infrastructure needs are different. It's not everybody that will buy mango from ShopRite. Some of us will buy mango by the streets. You understand? So, Titi, could you help us with that answer? And by the way, we have a special guest of honor in our midst,
I thought
Doctor
our special guest would start. This our
Doctor
very
Ah,
Jude.
special. This one is
hey,
I
special
am
guest.
ringing.
So
I
Jude,
am ringing the renewed bell
August
of blessing. Can
visitor
you
in
see
July.
the branded
August
bell of
visitor
blessing?
in July.
I,
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 I
I
want
want
to
to
say,
say
We went to Oba to collect this bell.
from Oba, eh? I
So
hope you brought a lot of money from there, right?
they collect. They say those money they used to recycle the money.
Oh boy.
It is what you miss, you will miss.
Ah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, team.
good
It's been it's,
morning, Jude.
it's been 20 years ago, right?
Ah,
Now we can expect
Nana.
okay, so Titi, over to you.
Rotimi, I agree with you that we need to put things in our own context. We know how things are really bad. So when you look at the child that's street hawks, while we promote their going to school, I think it's still okay for them to still come help with selling, because in the end, based on where we are, we don't know how far her parents will to support to take her education. She might still need to come back to this hawking to help, to help send herself to school beyond what her parents can do. I remember that there was something going viral recently of a lady helping at the construction site to pay for her university. So I think what it is, how do we look at things in our own context? And I agree with you. How do we marry the fact that there's the need to go hawking, at the same time there's a need to get an education? So it's really, how do we use our reality to solve our problems? So i I don't have the answer, but I completely agree that we should be looking at it that way.
okay, so
All right, thank you very much.
where the country actually has an issue with hawking for children is when they are underage and when they are hawking when their mates are in school. That is where the government has an issue with, and that's why if the government sees a child of school age hawking or doing any work that is they're not supposed to be doing when others are in school, they usually pick up that child and either send it to one of the correctional homes or something like that. Because I remember that a few years ago we went to a correctional home to just have some engagement with the boys, and one of them said it was supposed to be like a correctional home, maybe where juvenile delinquents and blah blah blah. And he said that his own, it's not as if he did anything, like he didn't commit any crime or he doesn't have a case in court. What just happened was that he was apprenticing with a mechanic, and the Lagos state government saw him and they picked him up from there because he was supposed to be in school and is not up to the age to be working. So when for government, when government keeps harping against children that are working, it's not like maybe the major reason. It's because many of them are underage and also because they are working when their counterparts are in school. So that's where the friction is.
Well, I still disagree with that because, well, if you look at it, putting that boy, and I know the place you're talking about, put that kind of boy in a place where, because you feel he wasn't meant to be in school, the correctional place itself is not a perfect school. He's going to even get to learn vices from those who are trying to get behavioral management and stuff done for them. Number two is that we do not apply selective applications or contextual applications to some of these laws. Yeah, so hawking on the road, is bad at school hours and also for safety concerns. But there are things they do beyond that. I've seen some of these people who go into streets, and I mean when I say streets, I mean close. They go further into close just to get people who are selling handkerchiefs and stuff like that. Evenings as well, weekends as well, just like we see with all the other officials, because they know that those people will need to settle and they are not too knowledgeable. So they fleece on them. I've seen this happen many times. I can give you instances, Let me give you one that happened to me last week. Was it last week or upper week? I was almost parked at, but this is not vocation though. I was almost parked towards the traffic light, and the guy came up to me and said that he's been telling me to stop, that I'm getting close to the line. I didn't beat the light, though. I said, what are you saying? I'm getting close to the line. I was so pissed when I told him, he didn't know when he had to walk up, because the others were already coming thinking that maybe if I was jittery, he would just come and tell me I've broken the law, stuff like that. I was ready to tell him that we can have a good afternoon education show on that spot. You know, there's a lot of oppression and a lot of misapplication, which I also think that everybody can't go to formal school, because the government itself is not providing enough schools available to all these people. And according to the charter that they are also trying to enforce, remember, schools are not meant to be beyond certain walking distance. And some of these children have to travel to be able to go to public school. In fact, your school should not be far from your health center, as it were, so to speak. Or do you even have the health center? So there are things that we must be bold enough to understand and interpret for our purposes. So that's what I think. Safety is important, which I agree, but then at the same time, we should not be hypocritical in our approach as a government. All right, Keke, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good morning. Apologies for coming in late. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
All right. So let me ask Jude. Jude, what do you see as regards to this branding, the branding craze of entrepreneurship and vocations? I think that a lot of people have missed the point behind branding. And we are seeing so many people focus on the identity rather than the initiative. They're focusing too much on the look and feel of the vocation rather than the business itself of the vocation. Jude, can we have your comments on that as well?
Okay, Mr. Please reenact that question again, please.
So branding seems to be like a craze and hype in society today.
Okay.
So everybody's
Okay.
focusing on branding their identity rather than even focusing on their initiative. We have so much people focusing on how they look and how they sound and what the name they are called than the core of the
Okay.
business.
Okay. I believe they are in every business, right? There's a dual model in that business. How people perceive you and what you really do as a business, right? So for people, I think people who focus more on the look of their brand, they are mostly people you find like in the entertainment industry, right? And because they are very successful in projecting that their brand image in entertainment, most other brands that are not even supposed to be doing that are finding themselves trying to project how their brand look, what people perceive about them. They can't say anything wrong, else it affects the feel of their brand and all that. So majorly, when it comes to that and you are not being productive, you find that you are spending more money trying to trying to project what you can't really offer long term, right? And even if you find it, the same thing applies to online businesses too, that people are more interested in packaging, making their brand or making their whatever website or making their whatever business offer they proposition looks internationally, but actually when they start offering you services, you find that they don't even offer half of what they are trying to project. So there should be a balance anyway. It's good to project good images, good to make people perceive your brand as authentic and have international standards, but whatever you offer should also portray that you can offer more than what you are even projecting. I think that's where the balance should come into play.
Thank you very much. And let's bring this question to what happened? Okay. Let's bring these questions to KK. KK, please could you help us? What would you say okay, let me change it. What would you say would be your counsel to the kind of vocational skills that we should be exploring, people out there, in terms of the success, the need, and the profitability?
That's a really good question, right? So in terms of vocational skills, I would say that if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the first two level of hierarchy of needs, right? That's where you're looking at what I think is the things like shelter, things like food, things like clothing, those first two levels, right? Anybody that focuses on those first two levels and kind of creates a vocational skill set around those levels is able to identify the clientele, is able to position their business properly in terms of messaging. I believe that they would get customers, because we all need to eat, we all need to sleep, we all need to wear clothes, right? So if we would focus on those two needs, I'm trying to pull up the hierarchy of needs, but I believe that that's what it really looks at, right? So your feeding, your clothing, your safety, just those sort of things. So if you look at that and you create a business around that, I truly believe that the business will do well. I don't think I've ever gone to a booker, even rubbish bookers that don't have clientele. You go there and they tell you, oh, food don't finish, you know? So that's what I think we need to begin to look at. And those are kind of skill sets I also believe that we also need to begin to talk with our children about, right? They need to be able to take care of the very basics for themselves, how to mend a button, how to cook, because it will save you money, right? And of course, then you then begin to look at how to manage your time once you're doing those things. So those are that's what I would say to anybody who wants to go into a vocational skill. Don't think too far ahead. Just look at those first two, and then look around your community and say to yourself, what are the needs and how can I position myself to begin to meet the needs? It's not so much what you want to do. There's a place for passion, but then there's a place for sustenance. So when you're thinking about sustenance, what I'm going to eat tomorrow, tonight, then you really do need to begin to think about what people are going to buy. Yeah. Thanks. Back to you, Mr. Rotimi.
Thank you very much. I was thinking you're going to add dancing into it because I think it's becoming a very lucrative skill to
aspect.
help in the
Selling the dance steps, right?
Exactly. You got it. Dance school.
KK's name. The first thing that I see is not book, is not there. It's not dance. But it's good. Yeah. So as we try to wrap up the show on this conversation, I think that I'd like to hear our closing thoughts. I'll start with we'll safety take back to Jude and then of course KK. And in closing, Faye, what would you like the people out there listening to us today or listening to us whatever time of they stumble on the video or whatever, what would you have to say to them from your heart? Thank you.
I would say to anybody watching this or listening to this or being told about this that vocational skills are an essential part of our lives as human beings, and they're not something that they're not things we should be ashamed of. Rather, we should be very proud of them. We should encourage as many, even if they are adults, people in the middle age. People struggle sometimes with identity and what they're supposed to do, and then they get to maybe their 30s, 40s, and they say, "Oh, this is what I should have done all my life." If that is what you want to do, we are a title crazed society. So everybody wants to have that title of a doctor, or something that just sounds very highfalutin and something that sounds very prestigious. You walk into a place and you want people to say, "Oh, that is so and so person that just walked in." But you said something about branding the other time, and the reason we are so crazed about the branding is because we feel that until we carry a big name or until we carry a particular title, nobody takes us nobody takes us seriously. So if you have a guest speaker at a meeting now and they walk in and they just introduce themselves and say, "Oh, my name is Finifolu Falodun," and they just look at you like, "Is that all? Nothing else? They're just Finifolu, that is it?" They would even try to find out what are your credentials. It doesn't matter. What if I'm coming there and I say I'm Finifolu Falodun and I am a dressmaker, I'm Finifolu Falodun and I am a mechanic. We should take pride in these things, knowing that some of these things are skills, are talents. Some of them we learn them, and if you're learning them, you paid to learn it. You paid your own money to learn it, and you should be proud of it to be able to show it off. The parents especially need to shift the focus from saying, "Oh, my child has to go to school." Every child will not get an education. As much as we want that to be the ideal, as much as we want every child to be in school, not every child will get an education. We get a formal education. They can get education in some other line. And if we find out that that's the line they are towing, then we should encourage them and get them going in that line, give them all the support we can.
Thank you very much. Safety check, over to you.
Okay, so I'll just say that context is very important, and we should stop being a culture that glorifies certain things over others. It's just the way people would make it sound like those who went to university are better than those who went to polytechnic. We should stop all those class and hierarchies and all that, because everything is important at the end of the day. We need all skills, all roles for successful running of society.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Jude?
Okay, I think vocational skills, as at this moment, right? The problem we have in Nigeria is mostly because we don't know how to sell it. Look at these online freelancers, right? Fiverr, right? People are millionaires in Fiverr, right? And these are just vocational skills. It's not like they are special, they are doctors or engineers. They are simply doing what we all know, graphic designs and all that, and they are doing it well. So these are skills that our children can actually partake in even while they are going to school. They can use it to pay school fees. They can use it to start their life. It doesn't mean that going to school you must end up in Shell or end up in Chevron and all that. But I think we should start looking at these skills that makes us independent, makes us self-sufficient, and makes us do well even without getting a single paid employed job. That's my take on it.
Thank you very much, Jude. And now over to KK.
Yeah, fantastic. So when I was in the university, right, one of the ways that I was able to make money was making hair. So I used to make hair in the university. I still make hair right now, and I would braid people's hair. I would weave it. I would fix weave on. Yes, that's how I made money in university, even till now. I make
KK.
Yeah. So I mean, and I was uni hair. Do you understand? So it wasn't like as if it was one crappy university, but that's how I made money, right? And I was very popular in school because I had a booking. My hair was always very fine, right? So there's absolutely nothing wrong with us doing anything it is that we need to prosper, right? There's dignity in every single labor. And to be honest, your brand is already being formed. Your brand is how people see you. Your brand is what people say when you're not in the room. Initially, when teachers were not in the room, people would speak badly about them. But if you notice, that narrative is changing, right? So there's no narrative that cannot change. It depends on the kind of energy that you bring to the table, the kind of backing that you bring to what exactly it is that you're doing, right? And how much excellence you do it with. So it is really not about the trade or the thing that the person is doing. It is the how of it, and it is how you have caused people to perceive you, right? So I would say that vocational skills are not things that we honestly can do without. I mean, like what Jude said about Fiverr. So I went to register in Fiverr yesterday. I'm not done with, I've not completed my registration, but I'm there, right? Because I mean, I just realized, man, I'm leaving money on the table. And I shouldn't be leaving money on the table in any way, right? So that's something that we really do need to look at doing and saying, what is it that these children can do? And that's where competency comes in, right? You might have the skill, but if you don't have the competency, then it's rubbish. And being able to do things and stepping into that space where you're actually getting things done is how you develop competency. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I know that Mr. Rotimi is like, take a stop. So I'm going to stop right here. Thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi.
I was actually enjoying it. And I think KK is high time that you teach people the KK model, because you've become a model right now, and people need to learn that KK effect, right? Ability to have energy, engagement, expertise, and empowerment all fused together. That's an
There's a
art.
KK effect. Be more.
Yeah. So that we can.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is all we have to take for today. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to end the week in style. Please do not miss the show. Some people are running up and down. Some people are traveling. But then we will be here by God's grace. And Safety Chick will be here. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, we'll be here. Yes. All right. So on this note, we're getting to Finn's favorite part. Titi is not here right now. And Dr. Jude, the tech prophet, is going to join us as we sign off with our usual words. Ready, guys?
Yeah. Yes, ready.
At the count of two, drum roll. 1, 2.
It's always a great morning.
Great morning in the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, education show.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.